And welcome back to Subculture on centralcoastradio.com. We've got something very, very special for you all right now. We're about to play a brand new track called In the Shadow of Notre Dame from Noasis. And we thought, look, not only are we going to play this track because we absolutely love it, but actually let's get the lead singer of Noasis on the phone, Darren, to talk a little bit about this new track. So welcome to the program, Darren.
Hi Dave, good to meet you, man. Good to speak to you.
So Darren, tell us a little bit about this track. Of course, Noasis started out in the UK in the late 90s, and then you came to Australia in 2013. So tell us a little bit about the history of the band and a little bit about this brand new track that we're about to hear.
Sure. So, yeah, Noasis were formed back in Derby in the UK in the 90s by myself and 4 or 5 other guys that were kind of swamped in the Oasis mania at the time. And basically what the band was about was, you got to bear in mind that the internet didn't really exist at that point. So we were kind of picking up people that were not lucky enough to pick up tickets to go and see Oasis at their shows, so you'd get on a telephone and you'd be calling to try and snag a ticket to see the band, and obviously millions of people were getting disappointed. So we basically formed Oasis around that sort of hole in the market, and we enjoyed 2 or 3 years of cruising around the UK playing venues to up to 900 people. That were just unfortunate to not see the real thing.
So tell us a little bit about your move to Australia. Of course, you made that move in 2013. What's that been like for you coming to a new country, and when did you decide to get the band up and running again, but in Australia?
Yeah, so 2013, we kind of just made a decision that we wanted to travel and sort of experience something different. So we chose Australia, and we chose South Australia for its laid-back culture and its climate. And yeah, that took a few years to sort of adjust to and get used to the heat more than anything. But yeah, I kind of missed music after a few years, and I kind of thought, well, I just wonder if I can sort of connect with some guys that be into doing something similar down here. And that's what I did sort of around 2018. I started to look into it, and then by 2019 I'd got sort of a draft of guys together that were kind of like-minded and could understand where I wanted to take this. And that took about a year and a half, 2 years to sort of refine and then eventually get the right crew together, which are Noasis today. Yeah.
So what are the big differences you notice between the Australian music scene and the British music scene? Are there any major differences there at all?
Yeah, I think the UK scene is incredibly busy. I mean, it's funny. I was just on the phone to a friend of mine this morning, and I was trying to explain that the UK, for as big as it is, probably has 3 times the amount of people on that spot of land, all competing to be accepted and to get their music out there. So, I think as a music culture, it's more brutal than Australia in that sense. I think Australia is a more laid back culture as far as its music's concerned. And so I think bringing the Oasis thing to life here has been quite refreshing to some people, because it's, our shows are fairly high octane. An interesting point to raise was during COVID, we managed to keep playing and touring around Australia, which is one of the reasons why we've got a good following, I think. But, for people to come out to an Oasis show and be told to sit, and not stand, and please don't dance because of COVID was a really strange thing. And, it got to the point where I was kind of speaking to venues and saying, well, you probably don't want to put our show on if you're restricted to seating, because people do want to dance and get up and jump around to this music, So, so that's been an interesting period of time through COVID with this type of music and how people react to it.
Definitely. So now tell us a little bit about this brand new single, In the Shadow of Notre Dame. It's a great song. I've been listening to it all morning and I absolutely love it. So tell us a little bit about the single.
It was always our intention to release our own music as well. we are five people who are all very talented in their own ways. You know, I'm a lyricist. My son Tom, who is actually in the band, is a very good sort of electronic type producer. And then we've got a fantastic drummer, and you know, it goes deep into this band, and everybody can do things. So it was always a thing to create our own sound and sort of push it out there on the back of working off Oasis and building, you know, a following. So really Notre Dame is based around sort of my experience of traveling around Europe, and seeing some of the, you know, the fantastic historical kind of architecture that's out there in the world. And I kind of wrote Notre Dame based around some time I spent in Paris.
Did you write it at the time, or did you write it back when you got back to Australia? Because it's such an amazing track. It takes you there. It makes you feel like you're there. When did you actually write it?
Yeah, not too long ago. I wrote it in 2022.
Yep.
I remember waking one morning and thinking, you know, I think I might need to write about Notre Dame. I just like the word Notre Dame. I've been there. I know quite a bit about its history. And it really kind of spun from there. So it probably took, you know, a morning to write the song, actually.
Yep.
But its meaning is actually quite deep to me. And I did sort of a little chat about this a couple of days ago with someone. I was trying to explain what it's about. And Notre Dame is, you know, it's a place that was built in the 12th century. It took 107 years to build, which is an insane amount of time. But that kind of really imprinted on me while I was out there. And I kind of wondered, well, you know, what is Notre Dame about? Is it something that someone's built to impress the rest of the world? Because that's kind of the scale it's on. It's a colossal thing. Or is it there literally as a sort of an elaborate dig at someone to say, look, I could do better than you, bigger than you, more beautiful than you, or even more grotesque? You know, and so those kinds of questions really brought Notre Dame as a cathedral, as a building, as a thing to life for me. And then what I've done with this song, I've personified sort of the cathedral into maybe it could be a relationship, you know, where something's been built so tall or so huge, and that we kind of struggle to find where the boundaries are for it. And maybe we've kind of forgotten where the foundations were.
Yeah.
You know, it's that deep.
as someone who's been there, and as someone who is in love with the cathedral in the way that you are, it must have been devastating to see the footage of the fire a few years ago.
Yeah, absolutely was. And you know, I keep an eye on it. You can get on sort of little podcasts, and you can see the progress that's going on the rebuild.
Yep.
And in actual fact, I was looking last night at something, and there was a feature that come up that's just a couple of hours old, and they were in this huge workshop in France, and all the timber work was actually being handcrafted and remade, you know, like literally yesterday. So it's really beautiful to see.
That's amazing. Now, of course, being a huge Oasis fan myself, I know that family members don't always work well together in a band. How do you find working with your son with Noasis?
Yeah, it's tricky. It has its moments. It definitely has its moments. We were very opinionated, you know, and there are no barriers between us and how we'll express how we feel about certain things. But, you know, we do have a mutual respect, of course, and, you know, at the end of the day, he's my son and I'm his dad. So, you know, we do kind of, we get on okay. It's okay.
Now, for all of our listeners out there, if you want to head along and check out Noasis, they've got some shows coming up, and we've put those dates up on our website and how you can grab tickets to those shows as well. So make sure you check them out. But Darren, we are about to play the new single right now. So what would you like to say to everybody out there before they take a listen to In the Shadow of Notre Dame for the first time?
Yeah, look, I mean, whether you're an Oasis fan or you're not an Oasis fan, you know, the Gallaghers they are a little bit Marmite. You either love them or you hate them. And maybe don't judge the song too much by the title, what I mean is by the band's title. You know, and I'll say real quickly, we've had some reviews where people's opinions straight away is based around Oasis. Oh, it sounds like Oasis. Oh, you're trying to do this or you're trying to do that. You know, and my question to them is, well, if the band was called Pete's Pet Store, would you have the same opinion? You know, and that's been quite well received, and people kind of step back and go, oh, actually, yeah, that's a great song.
Yeah. Well, we think this is a great song, so listeners, sit back and take a listen right now to Noasis with In the Shadow of Notre Dame.